We're not meant to lead one life. I'll be 44 this year, and I feel like I've already lived 3 or 4 lives in one life, and I'm not dead yet.
At Sourcelight, we honor those whose quiet strength creates lasting change. Today, meet Christine Manson, founder of Terra Water Indonesia, bringing clean, sustainable water solutions to communities across the country. Her journey as a female entrepreneur has been a deliberate choice, embracing a path that reflects her vision of women's empowerment in action. Through her dedication, she shows up for others in her own unique way, creating ripples of impact that leave the world better than she found it. I'm Sunny Jackson, and this is Christine's story.
I hate to sort of like stereotype gender norms, but I think one of the best books I've ever read was Lean In. I don't know if you've ever read that. It's an incredible book by Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook. And I was given this book by my sister-in-law, and her girlfriend gave it to her, and her girlfriend gave it to her, and I gave it to another woman. And we all wrote our names in the front, like as we kept giving it on. And when I started the book, I thought this is going to be a book about a woman who can do it all. Like she's incredible, right? She's got a family. Her husband passed actually after she wrote that book. And so then she was like a single mother, CEO of Facebook. And it was just too much. But it was the opposite. It was a very candid, authentic book about how it's impossible being a woman and how you're always held to standards no matter what you do. You're never a good enough mother or a good enough businesswoman or a good enough dog mother or whatever it is that you're attempting to be. Men aren't always held to the same standard. It's always women because we're meant to be responsible. And so if we choose to have a career, then we make a choice. And I think there's been different points in my life when I thought, where am I meant to be? Like, what is my purpose? And if I gave it 100%, would it be enough? When I left my career in the humanitarian sector, and took what was meant to be a 1 year, but ended up being a 2 year sabbatical, I had no idea where I would go. I was in a serious relationship. I thought maybe the next step was wife and mother, and that ended up not being the case. And fast forward 2 years later, 2 year sabbatical, and 7 years later in my business, and it's been a complete pivot from what I expected. And there was definitely a transition period between where am I going? What am I meant to be doing? And I felt very lost. I felt really lonely, like nobody could make that decision but me. And I had to find purpose in whatever I chose to do. Lean into not being accepted or feeling normal or like you'll never be enough because nobody's ever enough. There's no such thing as perfect. And be prepared to just lean into whatever you decide to do and back that up and own it. We're not meant to lead one life. I'll be 44 this year, and I feel like I've already lived 3 or 4 lives in one life. And I'm not dead yet, like, and it's funny because actually my grandmother used to say that. She passed at about 85 years old, and until the day she died, she had these beautiful green eyes, and she used to get her hair done every week, and she would put on a full face of makeup and go to church, like that was her thing. But she would also like wear these like really extravagant blouses and like her breasts out, and you're like, "Grandma, like you're 80 years old, like what are you doing?" And she'd shake them and go, "I'm not dead yet." Like, you know what? It's never too late. And so maybe there is a child in my future. Maybe my dog is meant to be my child. I think the other thing I've leaned into is that uncertainty is a part of life and being comfortable with uncertainty is okay. And that these very rigid trajectories that we outline for ourselves do nothing but hold us back in terms of enjoying life and the ride and saying yes, being a yes person to whatever opportunities arise. So I've certainly leaned into the decision that I've made to build a business. And I sometimes wish, I'd had that old life, it might have been an easier life, but it might not have been an easier life. And when I actually can sit back and reflect on what I'm doing now, I wouldn't change a thing. I think I surprise myself every day. Yesterday, I was joking with a friend and I had to go to this business event, and I'm actually a bit of an introvert. For every day that I spend with people, I spend 2 days alone. But in building my business, especially in a place like Bali, I've had to do so much networking. And so I was texting my friend going, "Oh, I've got to go to this business event today." And he was like, "How do you do it?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't even know how like, how have I made it this far? Like, how am I even still alive? I hate people. I just rather hang out with dogs all day." So I think I surprise myself every day. And I think it's so much of resistance, so much of persistence is just it's showing up and just stop making excuses. You just say, like, actually, you just reframe it. I've got to go to this thing, but, like, actually it might be really fun. Or, oh, they're serving natural wine. I've been wanting to try those. Like, you find a silver lining. And, if you allow your mind to stretch, and I think, I don't know if you felt this way, but in building a business, people who study business study a philosophy like anything. But a philosophy is a path, it's a way. But if you can pull yourself out of that dogma and stretch your mind in different directions and expose yourself, you're ultimately better at whatever you do, whatever that is. And my reference is business. And so when you lean in, when you become a yes person and you say yes to the strangest things and you surprise yourself every day, you're just stretching yourself that much more and becoming more and more resilient and potentially stronger or more seasoned or more experienced. And you can apply all of these things to whatever you choose to apply them to. So much of the humanitarian work that I've done through my career, women is always at the heart of it. Almost always. And it's because they're responsible for everything, going back to sort of the lean in concept. They're held to every standard because they're actually responsible for everything. And even women around the world that don't have careers, they're still working. Being a housewife has a bad name. That is a full-time job because who's going to do it? And it keeps everyone alive and it keeps people happy and healthy, and there's wellness and there's love. When I was in Guatemala, I spent nearly a decade there working in the humanitarian sector, and we led medical missions around the country. The organization I worked for was big enough that we were actually the second supplier of healthcare in the country under the Ministry of Health. So we were seeing thousands of people. And it was surgeries, men, women, children, everything from dental to gynecological surgeries. And sure enough, there was a rural village that we went to, and this woman came in for a life-saving hysterectomy. So she had had cancer, and she needed this hysterectomy to keep her alive. And I remember she came into the hospital, and there was a lot of sort of discussion before her surgery about what happens after, right? So we know where we come from. You go in for a surgery, you get preparation, you have a surgery, you stay for a few days, you go home. There was all this discussion around her being there. She can't go home. She can't go home. Well, she's getting this surgery. This is a huge surgery. She'll need to be in the hospital for a week to recover, and then she's meant to go home. It turned out the domestic abuse in her household was so bad that she knew if she had gotten this life-saving surgery, her husband might have beat her to death when she returned. So it was our organization was responsible for healthcare, but we ended up having to place her with the organization that would find her a place to live after this life-saving surgery. And her children were already adults, so she didn't have to, rush home to be with them. And I just thought, we could have just let her go home after that. It could have just been like, we did our job, but like everyone came together and it was this challenge, like, this woman deserves a better life. We're saving her life, so let's finish that. Also, I think once you start doing that type of work and you see the impact you have, you get hooked. I mean, it's like anything else. It's a drug. It's like you see you're changing people's lives and all of a sudden you're just like, "Oh, this is what I'm meant to be doing." I think life's too short to lead one life. We're meant to lead many lives in one, and we're meant to have many purposes. If one doesn't work, try another one. Or if you're interested in something else, just do it. Just lean into it. Just and don't expect it to come out at 100%. If you want to give it 100%, great. I mean, there's Olympians, there's geniuses, there's people who give 100% to something and are the best and the best at something. That's also an option. But most of us aren't like that. We're just building ourselves. And we're building ourselves in such a well-rounded way that it allows us, as you had said, to be open to opportunity. And maybe that gives us more opportunity to shine our light. And so I think it's just, say yes. Just if you're feeling it, do it. Try it. Leaving the world a better place than what I found it in. I've never been one for, like, legacy, like, we were even just talking about children, and I've never needed to have a biological child. I've always been open to adoption, and even that to me is like, what would that child life be like if I wasn't in it? And so I don't need anything from that necessarily. Obviously, I'm fulfilled by being able to give, but can I just leave the place a better, in a better state than I found it in? And it right now it's our environment. So, with the business, we make natural water filters, which means we're removing plastic from our landscape. That's a better place than I found it. Our children now living more well-rounded and better lives, access to education because they have safe drinking water in their home. That's better than I found it. Is there a dog or a child or someone in my life that I could leave an impact on that is maybe it's through my comic relief because I'm so funny or, just by being a part of their life and making, you know, building something together, then I'm okay with that too. But I don't feel like, I feel like so many business owners, they really like the light literally shone on them. And I think about this business event that I went to last night where it was a soft opening of this big business and it was all about the founder. And I think I don't have anything against that. That's that person's way. That's not my way. I would rather the light shine on the thing that's been built. If my legacy is something that lasts way longer than me, then it was worth it.